which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, and this is just an informal town hall meeting with Mike James presiding, and we have special guests. We have Sharita Humphreys and Dennis. Hello, Dennis, are you there? Okay, yes, they are our special guests with Dub Taylor. Okay, and Mr. Dub Taylor now is going to discuss the benefits and what the C-PACE program does. And take it away, Dub. You have the floor.
Thank you, Councilman James. Making sure.
Please
folks-
speak please
Okay.
speak in the mic. You
Okay.
might want to bring it up to your mouth.
Can you hear me okay?
Huh? Give him a what? Where's the cordless one? Okay, all right, we're gonna give you the cordless
Okay.
one. Okay, just a second here.
Great. Okay. How's that? Can everyone hear okay that's listening remotely?
Can you hear him?
Check,
Okay,
check, check.
yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. Okay. Very good. Thank you, Councilmember James, for having me here today. And over the next few minutes, what I wanted to do is to provide an overview of how C-PACE financing works and how it could benefit the city of Prairie View, and then also identify next steps for the city to consider for enacting this program at the city level. So moving along with slides that are being broadcast, hopefully, that you can see, my background is I've been with Texas PACE Authority for about 6 years now. Before that, almost 30 years with the state of Texas, serving for almost 2 decades as the director of the State Energy Conservation Office, which managed energy engineering financing programs, revolving loan programs. And then prior to that, I was in the commercial real estate, property tax appraisal business, and property management business. So the problem that PACE is designed to address is this one, and that is that property owners know that they can save money over the long run by investing in more energy and water efficient systems and upgrades, but they have challenges making these investments because they have to make payroll, they have to grow their businesses, they have competing priorities for their budget, and even modest upgrades can be expensive. And so again, hard to pay for all those with other expenses that are their priorities. So the result of this is that failing equipment generally goes out at the wrong time. Air conditioning goes out in the summer, heating goes out in the winter, and so it's replaced on an emergency basis, and oftentimes with equipment selections that you may not want. It's just what's available. And so over time, that means that you have less optimized systems that cost more to operate, and this just sort of snowballs over time. The other thing is with new construction, there's always going to be budget pressures on new construction budgets. And so things that are behind the walls that people can't see are the things that typically get cut and get compromised, not the finishes that people see, touch, and feel, things behind the walls. Well, those things behind the walls are the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems, and those are what cost the entity a lot of money to operate over the long term. So that happens as well. And all of this really in this day-to-day of increasing power demands. There's people moving to the state. There are all of these proposed data centers that are going to require more power. There's pressure on our water supply. All of these are challenges that the property owners face. So a solution to this is PACE, Property Assessed Clean Energy is what PACE stands for. This is an innovative financing tool that provides long-term, low-cost, 100% financing for eligible energy efficiency, water conservation, and distributed generation projects. So distributed generation means if it produces power on your side of the meter. This is private financing that is secured by a local government special assessment. So it's not using city dollars, not using state dollars, county dollars, or any other public dollars. And what it does is it takes what essentially is an unsecured equipment loan, which tend to be the highest risk from a lender's perspective, and the shortest payback as a result, or the shortest term, and turn it into the most secured type of financing, and that is an assessment secured financing. So if you have heard of a PID, a property improvement district, this is like a PID, but it's parcel by parcel, and there's no government dollars involved. So an owner decides if this makes sense for them. If they do, if they've identified a project that's eligible, then they can access PACE for the financing part of it. So the owner benefits through a lower interest rate, longer financing term, and more capital available for the project. So PACE is specifically authorized under state law. The legislature enacted the Texas PACE Act more than a decade ago. It is local chapter 399 of the local government code, and it defines how PACE programs can operate. The key to this is that these are voluntary, so there's not a requirement. It's an opt-in, it's open market, and that means that any property owner that has an eligible property can access it. Any lender can provide the financing. Any contractor can do the work. So open market. Local government enabled means that the Texas PACE Act gives specific authority to cities or counties to establish local PACE programs around their jurisdiction. So that can either be at the city plus ETJ, or at the county level. And so there are deliberate actions that a city or county takes. And here in the city of Prairie View, a couple of things just sort of line these out. So a public briefing or discussion, that's what we're doing right now. Then at the first meeting, which you were posted for the meeting at 6 p.m. today for potential action on this program. So passing a resolution of intent to establish the PACE program is the first step. In that resolution of intent, there is a public hearing date. This is a required posting document, and then there's a required public hearing. Again, you've had a public hearing, you've had a couple, but this has to be done in this way to follow the letter of the law. So then at the meeting after that, which probably would be in 2 weeks or the next regular meeting of the council would conduct the public hearing, and then they would take any comments, and at that same hearing, they could then pass a resolution to establish the program and then execute a service agreement for us to run it for you, so you don't have to create a PACE department. And this is at no cost to the city. So that's the process. And if you look at how this has worked so far in Texas, we have 110 cities and counties scattered across the state that have been through this process and have adopted PACE programs. So 50 at the city level, 60 at the county level, and this covers about 75% of the state's population. This map comes from our website. Our role in all of this is, as I mentioned, the city wants to offer this economic development and financing tool to its businesses and commercial property owners, but the city does not want to create a department to run it. So that's where we come in. So Texas PACE Authority, we are a nonprofit. We were formed specifically to operate PACE financing programs for any city or county that elected to set them up. So really, we work as extended staff of the city. And we don't provide the financing, we don't do the contracting, we're not otherwise involved in the transaction. We are the city's extended staff. And if you look at this graphic, what you see is there's a line, and there's really a governmental function, and that's reviewing the projects, reviewing the applications to make sure that they meet the letter of the law. That's what we do on behalf of the city. And then otherwise, it's a private transaction. The property owner identifies their contractors, they scope the project, they execute the project, they do the installation, the construction, and then a capital provider, a lender, provides the financing. So two sides. So the development process, there are essentially 10 steps. There's a pre-application and a post. Feasibility involved, selecting a lender, service providers, preparing an application. Then after the project application is filed, there is a mortgagee consent requirement if there is senior debt on the property. And then also we have a requirement that a third-party Texas licensed engineer review the savings and the cost associated with the project to ensure they're in balance. So that provides a quality control element so the owner will have confidence that the project will actually save the money and reduce energy and water as projected. After that, closing on the financing, installing the upgrades, and then the final step is that same engineer that has done that review comes back to the property after it's completed to make sure everything's been installed properly. Again, that provides confidence to the owner that they're getting the benefits from the project that they're expecting. So what's eligible for PACE? And all of this is private property. So any commercial property, and that's including nonprofits. This can be retail, hospitality, mixed use, office, medical. Any multifamily property, as long as it's 5 units or more. Industrial, warehouse, distribution, manufacturing, agricultural, data centers, as I mentioned before. Both the real estate where the data center is housed, as well as usually the power systems required that are tied to the data centers, are eligible as well. So the only thing not eligible under state law in Texas is single-family residential and residential 4 units or less. So that would be residential. That would be our PACE. And in Texas, we don't have that. We just have CPACE, which is commercial. So how can you use the PACE financing proceeds? You can use them for retrofit or repurposing existing facilities. So that means new mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems, typically lighting, HVAC systems, controls, plumbing fixtures, et cetera. Building envelope upgrades, that means higher levels of insulation in the walls. That means reflective roofing material to reduce heat gain, on-site power generation, as mentioned earlier, and even energy storage, which are battery systems that can provide benefits 24/7, but also in the event of a power outage, it gives you resilience and ride-through capability if the power grid is lost. Then for new construction and redevelopment, and this is again for buildings that aren't there yet, if you design it to be above code, so at least 5% better performing than code requires, then you can use PACE for the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems that take you to that higher efficiency level above code. And then if you've already done a project, as long as it's within 24 months and it's otherwise eligible for PACE, you can actually refinance. And you can use PACE proceeds to refinance the elements of your construction project that otherwise would have been eligible for PACE. So the eligible improvements and things that we're talking about, this yellow bar on my slide, if the project reduces energy or water usage or generates power on site, then it is something that is potentially PACE eligible. And so this list that's here on the energy side, high efficiency HVAC, we see that in pretty much every project. Lighting improvements, building envelope, on-site renewable energy systems, we see a lot of that with solar photovoltaic, all of that sort of thing. And then on the water side, high efficiency water heating systems, could be irrigation, could be on-site water collection, cisterns and such for non-potable use, and any high efficiency irrigation equipment. So some underwriting criteria. This is really on the financing side. So we have in Texas what's called a savings to investment ratio, or an SIR, and that compares the total cost of the project to its savings, and that has to be in balance. So again, for the owner, this is going to be a project that spins off enough savings that it covers the debt service. So it should be a sort of a one-to-one proposition for the owner. This is verified again by a Texas licensed professional engineer. And then there's a cap, there's a limit. The most that a PACE loan can be is up to 35% of either the assessed property value from a tax standpoint through the central appraisal district, or if there's a private appraisal, that can be used as well. The loan term, how long can a PACE loan be? It's not predefined, it's tied to whatever is being financed. So we look at the weighted useful life of the project. So if it has, for example, a roofing replacement with reflective roof, that may have a 20 to 25-year warranty from the manufacturer, so the term could be as long as 25 years. If it's just HVAC, maybe 15 years. But the average of that is what sets the PACE term. And on average, across the state, with all the projects that have closed, we see an average term of probably about 20 years. They can always be paid off sooner, and they don't have to be that long, but that sets the outside measure, the outside boundary. And then again, mortgage holder consent. So if there's a senior debt on the loan, because this is a special assessment, that mortgage holder has to provide consent. So the owners, the benefits to the property owners, and this is a good way of thinking of it, is you can pay for today's upgrades with tomorrow's savings. And that's really the key here. And I'll say that again. PACE allows you to pay for today's upgrades with tomorrow's savings. So you're redirecting what are really utility and operating dollars to capital improvements back in your property that then have long-term savings benefits. And PACE allows you to do that in a budget neutral or cash flow positive way. And again, comparing it to equipment financing on the left, all of your repayment for equipment financing happens in the first few years of the life of that equipment. So your payments are higher than the savings. With PACE, you're able to stretch the financing term as long as the useful life of the equipment, which means that you're cash flow positive. And so it's much more appealing. So how has this all worked? Across the state of Texas, over 106 projects totaling over $600 million have closed using PACE. Urban and rural, office, mixed use, nonprofit, hospitality, multifamily, parking garage, retail, manufacturing. These have included all sorts of projects, including energy efficiency, water conservation, distributed generation, and demand reduction projects. The smallest project has been 68,000, the largest 48 million. So a wide range. These can be, kind of, I think on average, probably $2.5 million for the whole portfolio. And then we track the impacts. So if you go to our website, you'll see this. The dollar savings for the 106 projects is dollars invested, 625 million. These projects also create jobs. Some of these are temporary construction jobs that obviously are not there when the property is completed, but some of them are permanent. So if it is a business, a hotel, a store, where there now is permanent employment, those jobs are tracked. The roll-up of all the energy savings is here. 86 million kilowatt hours a year saved. Water savings, 140 million gallons a year. Natural gas, and then CO2 reductions, so environmental benefits as well. This is all on our project list. And then these are some examples. Every project that is closed has sort of a small snapshot that describes what the project is, where it's located, who the funder was, how much the assessment was, the PACE financing, and then what was involved. So the one at the very top, this one's pretty recent. So this is a Dollar Tree out in Abilene, and it was an older building that was, really kind of dilapidated and not in use. And so the owner of the franchise, the Dollar Tree franchise, purchased the building, but needed to put a lot of money into it to bring it back into service. So they used PACE for part of that. And they used $318,000 in PACE financing for all the HVAC replacements and upgrades, roof and wall insulation, and then also more efficient windows. A couple of others just sort of in the area. Up in Bryan, there's a new project. This is on the higher end, $15 million for new construction of an office complex. Out in Anderson County, Palestine, and East Texas, an old historic school building that is used as a daycare is being renovated now because, again, with the kids in the building, they had mold and lots of issues like this that needed to be addressed, and so this is a way to update that building as well. And then the one listed at the bottom, this is a Baptist church in Greenville, east of Dallas. Their building was in pretty good shape, but they wanted to add solar to generate part of the power to supply the church, and so they added solar, and that was the scope of that project. So it really depends. There's not a preset limit on what could be installed. It really depends on what the building needs and what the owner wants. So we like to think of, you've heard of the saying, it's a win-win-win. We like to think of that, but also add two wins to the end. So property owners benefit through lower utility bills, increased resilience, energy and water efficiency, and then property value increase, because after the project's done, now you have, if you're selling it, that investment's been made, and someone buying it now doesn't have to make that. So they're getting a building with all new systems, so it's more valuable that way. Yes, sir.
And also, with the extra energy that they save, maybe they could sell it back to this electricity, or could they do, so that the power grid gets impacted?
Potentially, so for sure, but just through more efficient systems, the building is now demanding less from the power grid. So there is more remaining for other uses. If you have on-site power and you have access, to your point, then any excess that you generate and sell back to the grid, that actually earns revenue back to the owner. And so that can offset the cost as well. So yes, for contractors, this is a source of project financing. Oftentimes a contractor will go to a property owner to a job site, do an evaluation, present a bid, and the property owner just says, I don't have the money, I can't move forward. And so for contractors, they can pair PACE financing with their proposals to actually move the project forward instead of just submitting a bid and not being able to move it forward. So that results in more local hiring, keeping up with technology advancements for local contractors as these systems get installed. For lenders, this is a new type of loan product. So we have a lot of lenders that are active already in the state, but if there's a local lender that wants to offer PACE financing, as a regional benefit or a community benefit, they can offer PACE. They can be a PACE lender. The state, why was this a priority for the state, and why was the state law passed pretty much unanimously a decade ago? Well, water resource conservation at the state level is a big issue. It was 12 years ago, and it is today. This provides, again, a benefit there indirectly. We're demanding less from the water table, from surface water resources through this. Reduced peak demand on the electric grid. So that means higher reliability levels in the middle of the summer when everyone's air conditioning's going, or in the middle of the winter when everyone's backup resistance heaters are going to keep places warm. Again, distributed generation as a resilient power source. Distributed generation plus battery storage means you could disconnect an island from the electric grid in the event of a storm or something else and be able to keep your facility operating. So for senior living centers, again, daycares, public buildings like this one, then you can actually, continue operations if the grid goes down by installing these technologies. Indirectly, because we're consuming less power from the electric grid, I just drove by the Fayette Power Plant the other day, right down the road. Those are air emissions that come out of the power plant, and so if we're reducing power consumption, then we're reducing indirectly the emissions from power plants. And then from a community standpoint, really why you're considering this today is this results in increased economic development, jobs locally. It improves the building stock, the building infrastructure, and results in more appealing building stock and plants, and provides a tool for property owners to make those investments. So a lot of resources on our website here. We have technical standards, program guide, a number of case studies, service providers, events and training. And I will stop there and see what questions there may be.
Okay.
My first question is, do you have a hard copy of your presentation?
I don't, but I can email it to you. Yeah.
I can work
Yeah.
mine. Also, the second thing is, you mentioned you have a lot of cities, but is there a way I can find a list of the cities that participate in the PACE program already?
They're all on our website.
Okay, just go to the.
Yeah, in fact, I can, let's see if I can get, here we go. Okay, this is hard to see. Here's all the cities. The easiest thing is to look at the map.
Just give me the website.
Oh, the website, texaspaceauthority.org. It's just www.texaspaceauthority.org. I have a business card too here that has that on there. I'll give it to you. It's on there too.
So if you live in a town and it's not a part of PACE, then it probably won't be available to you, right?
Correct. Like today, City of Prairie View, it's not available. But this map indicates all the cities and counties that have added PACE. So what you can see on the map is, in this area, I'll see if I can make it bigger and if it'll cooperate, move over with me here. Well, my map's not working. So the process that I outlined for a city to establish PACE. So in this area, so I'm trying to look here. So Washington County, Brazos County, at the county level, Fort Bend County, Montgomery County, all at the county level have established. Grimes County is not yet on the map. Here.
But that's because the council hasn't.
Correct. Yeah, yeah, that's right.
But once the council can approve it, then the city of Prairie View can be.
Yes,
a CPACE
that's right.
and offering these benefits to the community developers and stuff like that.
Yeah, normally one of two things happens. Either there is a project where, they feel that PACE may be beneficial to the project. The owner has heard about this, and if the program has not already been established by the city or the county, then they approach the city or the county about establishing it. The other is, I think, here, where I think Councilman James, you heard about PACE at the conference in Austin and thought this might be a useful tool for the city's economic development toolkit. And so,
We have a member of the EDC right here, and his name is Levon, and you can give this to him.
okay.
Levon, please take one of these, and please also pass this to Dr. Vita Brown.
Thank you.
She's here as well. Give that one to him. Okay. I'd like to open up the floor. Should we open the floor for more questions?
Sure, yes.
Were your questions answered? Councilwoman?
Yes.
Okay, Sharita Humphreys, and do you have any questions for Dub Taylor of the CPACE program? Hello? Hello? Oh, okay, Sharita Humphreys and Dennis, they don't have no questions right now. And so, Dr. Vita Brown, she has a question. You have the floor, Dr. Vita Brown.
Yeah, I was just wondering if last time we talked about this, I asked for some figures, some numbers. Our community, the Prairie View community, is distinct from the other examples that you gave because the majority of our water bill money comes from multiple family homes, apartment complexes. We have thousands of people that live in apartment complexes and businesses. Only a few of our water revenues come from single-family homes. So my question is, I asked last time, you were talking about a cut in the water revenues or decreasing their bills, which would mean for the city a decrease in the amount of revenues we receive from water bills. Have you done an analysis on that to see how that would affect us in terms of how much would we lose, the city I'm talking about, from the decrease in the water revenues, and how would we make that up?
Okay, so I remember the discussion, and I searched the best I could, and based on information available on the internet and other sources, first of all, that level of detail, I guess, is available maybe through the Public Works Department as far as revenue. It's not available on the website anywhere, nowhere on the internet that I could find. So to set context, and I know that the focus is impact on the water utility and revenue from the water utility. So I described, and when I presented, there's been $625 million of PACE investment across the state over the last 10 years. If you look at our website, the way that breaks down is the savings is 94% of that is tied to electricity savings. 6% of that is tied to water savings. So most of the benefit, most of the savings is tied to reducing electricity and power costs. Water is beneficial as well, and most of the time we see water conservation projects in new construction where they can install higher efficiency, flush valves and toilets and sinks and aerators and things like that. So of the annual dollar savings from PACE projects, there is $8.2 million statewide of annual savings. Of that, $7.7 million is electricity, $490,000 is water. And I took the, again, best available information that I could find on the internet. So the commercial rate for City of Prairie View is showing as $14 a monthly minimum plus $3.50 per 1,000 gallons. So I basically did that conversion based on the Prairie View commercial rates. So that is not to say that there's no impact, but 94% of all of the PACE project savings is tied to electricity and does not impact water.
Okay, let me stop you here because I don't think you heard the first part of what I said. The demographics of Prairie View is not anything like anything else in Texas. The vast majority of residents in Prairie View are multifamily it's a big deal. And I think that our council, before they make a decision on that, would like to know the impact it would have on, where is that money gonna be made up back from? The logical place is we'll just increase the rates for those who don't have this program. That's the logical. And if that happens, that's disastrous because most of the people that live in single-family households are retired people living on a fixed income. So I need, once again, I need to know the impact that would have on the revenues that the city of Prairie View gets currently from the households or the people that would affect. How will reducing their water rates affect us? Keeping in mind, we have a demographic configuration like none of those other cities you described. And where will the money that we lose, the city loses, where will that come from to be made up?
I'm not an expert on any of this, but from my understanding, it's, like you said, it's an advantage to have it. And it's an incentive for people to come. If they're looking to build a business and they're here, it's something that the city can offer them. Because right now, we have nothing to offer them. So most likely, when you have nothing to offer people, that doesn't make them want to come.
It, it,
Let me
it,
say this.
That's my understanding only, just my understanding only. I don't want to comment. Thank you very much.
You may not want to comment, but this is a town hall meeting and I can comment. Thank you. But from
To
your
say something?
understanding, it's really limited because you're still not addressing the fact
Okay.
that the city is going to lose money from water bills.
And you're
I
not
like-
acknowledging that the city will gain, tax money from the businesses, which is more than water money.
Girl, I'm not gonna follow over you because
Good,
you're very ignorant right now.
good,
You're not actually intelligent.
exactly.
I like to, I have talked with Dove, and generally, I think Dove can concur that when the person gets involved with CPACE and they still get the same amount, I guess, of power, but they just lower the amount of usage, and that lesser amount will actually be a good thing because then by getting the building invested in and everything invested in, they create more taxes for the city, and the city does and the city will not increase the residents' water bills. Isn't that your understanding, Dub?
well, on, it's a way to provide capacity and headroom for growth without having to reinvest in new infrastructure. And I don't know, again, searching everything that was available on City of Prairie View's water system, one thing I did come across, and I don't know if this project moved forward, was a increase of groundwater supply proposed about a year ago with well number 4. Okay, did that go forward, or do you know if that's happening? Okay. So this would be an additional well, and there's an engineering study that's out there that indicate this would increase water from currently 2,229 existing connections. It would add an additional 1,333. So it sounds like that's additional growth that's anticipated. So there is a cost for adding that new well. There's a
That is
cost for the
correct.
pump. There's a cost for the debt service for it. And, if it's absolutely needed, if there is a deficit or there's not enough water to supply the community, that's one thing.
Right.
But if you're building it for future growth
Correct.
and you're able to curb that future growth and
Right.
maybe postpone water, well number 5, okay, that's a savings to the city. That's an investment the city doesn't have to make going forward. And
I have a question. When a city adopts the CPACE, has there ever been occasion where the city increases their water bill for the residents?
So, again, understanding this is a majority residential community, what I would say is that in every community, even the smallest, this is one building or one project out of hundreds or thousands. It's not hundreds of buildings or thousands of buildings. And so that would not have an impact on water rates directly. And the water rates, again, I looked for the city of Prairie View, there's two charges. There's a monthly minimum charge per meter, and then there is a $3.50 per 1,000-gallon usage charge. So typically, the monthly minimum goes to pay for fixed costs. Those are costs that are known: debt service, operations, all those things. The gallon charge, the $3.50 per 1,000 gallons, those are variable costs. Those are based on how much water is consumed. So that takes into account things like the electricity to run the pumps, the chemicals to treat the water, all of those things. And so the monthly minimum charge still exists for every meter. That provides the basic revenue source to offset operating costs of the utility. And then the variable cost, which again, can be impacted by water efficiency, can be reduced. And the same thing on we're not talking about wastewater either, but pretty much every gallon of water, except for that goes on the lawn, that comes through the pipes, goes into the wastewater system. So there's a disposal and a wastewater charge as well. So a gallon of water saved on the front end is typically a gallon of wastewater saved on the back end, and associated costs with that too. So just as we've talked about, maybe preventing or postponing, investment in well number 5, this also means you probably get more life out of I know you contract with the Prairie View A&M for wastewater services, but this allows to not overtax their system by adding more wastewater than they can handle.
I believe we have Dr. Emmanuel. Would you like to ask a question? Do you have a question?
Yeah, because you're still not addressing the issue, and like the councilwoman says, her understanding is limited. I want you to expand that. The reason why I'm asking you for these numbers and figures, so that the council can make an intelligent decision on whether or not this is good for the city.
Yes, ma'am. So
You mentioned the city now, we don't even have our own wastewater treatment plant. The university is charging us. If they were gonna negotiate with us, they would have negotiated for the $1 million that we owed them at that time. Also, let me mention this other point, that, you talk about the residential, but I keep telling you, the majority of people, those 5,000 people population, the vast majority of those live in apartment complexes, which this program affects, and that will have a effect on the amount of revenues the city gets. It does, Michael.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Just common sense.
Okay, Vida, please listen. If the people who run the apartment complexes utilize the CPACE, they don't have to charge as much money for the water if they use these devices. To all, Vida Brown, let me finish. Vida, can I finish, please? Can I finish, please? Can I finish, please? Okay, if all the residents who are in these apartment complexes utilize the CPACE, their water bill goes down. Okay? All right, okay. And it also provides the people who have these apartment complexes, they can take the investment and increase. They get an investment from the CPACE. That's part of the CPACE program.
Okay, the apartments do, the owners.
Correct.
Okay.
They get an investment from the state for lowering utility devices that lowers the amount that they charge, but they'll get the same amount of power output.
Right.
And so these people, when they get this investment, it generally means that they can invest in their businesses which would mean that the city will make more money.
Their business is where the city will be,
The city will get more money from the investments that they make because,
investments. Most of the times, Councilman, what you're saying is a theoretical idea and it sounds beautiful. I'm talking about plausible, factual information. Say 1,000 people live in a complexes. They're paying $40 a month. If you reduce that, let's say, to $30 a month, that extra $10 a month times 1,000 that the city will be losing, there's no guarantee that the apartment owners, because none of them really live in Prairie View, so they have no incentive to invest in Prairie View. But what I'm saying is, how can you guarantee that that'll make a difference in, they'll invest in Prairie View and it'll be profitable?
because Dub has provided information that shows there is economic benefit to the city and to the residents if they are involved with CPACE.
But that, like I told him initially, the demographics for our city don't compare with the other cities that he's mentioned. We have a unique demographic.
What do you recommend, Dr. Brown?
I recommend, like I did last time, bring some numbers. JJ has the numbers on how much the city, and you'll only postpone this vote a week or two to the next meeting. Get the numbers. Okay, how much money now does the city generate come into the city from the water bills, commercial, the ones that'll be affected? Okay, get that number. Once you get that number, hypothetically, impose that particular discount on that and see how much we'll be not getting in from those particular places. Once you get that number, then say, okay, what impact does that have on our city budget? How can we make up the difference? It's simple, and it makes the residents feel more comfortable because it makes it seem like you all really care, and you're not just interested in the commercial businesses, but you're interested in the non-commercial businesses too.
Do we,
That's simple.
do we have any other questions from anybody else? Would you like to ask a question for the CPACE?
I don't have a question. I don't fully understand the CP, so that's why I'm here to talk to get a better understanding.
Oh.
As you go along, I will catch on. I'm Stedman Douglas, owner of a few apartments here in Pleasant.
Basically, if you employ the CPACE, you'll get energy-saving devices that won't affect the power output. You'll be saving money. In exchange, the state will give you money or invest in you so that you can improve your property. And then, is that correct?
Well, the state doesn't invest, it's private dollars.
Private
This
dollars,
is a
right.
mechanism that allows for that private dollar investment. So if you have a apartment complex or apartments and they have older air conditioning systems or heating systems or both, older water heating systems that need to be upgraded, and you replace them with more efficient systems than what's there, then you can access PACE financing, which is long-term financing for those improvements. The financing is structured such that the savings from the project actually offset the investment costs. So that's really the key because it's long-term financing versus an equipment loan, which is short-term financing. So again, kind of back to the overall metrics, 94% of all of the dollar savings in the last 10 years have been electricity savings. Will there be some water savings? I don't think an apartment complex is probably going to remove a toilet that's working. When they replace it anyway, they're probably going to replace it with something similar. The fixtures, the fixtures, the water faucets and low flow fixtures are pretty good already, which is why we see this. The big savings opportunity is replacing older HVAC systems and lighting. That's the biggest opportunity.
So, you have, pace seems to be pretty new, but to me, do you have any success story as it relates to where it was implemented and how it works?
We do. So earlier, I don't know, sorry, my back was turned when you may have walked in, but we have there's been 100 projects across the state that have utilized PACE, everything from a very small retail building that was being renovated and converted to a very large new hotel and everything in between. So apartment, multifamily complexes, commercial businesses, small retail, larger, et cetera. They're all on our website, case studies of each.
And you mentioned about PACE financing. What sort of interest rate you normally look at when you decided to move forward with this PACE financing?
So the interest rate is market-based. The most recent projects that have closed have been in the 7.5% interest. So less than equipment loan, more than a mortgage, less than other available debt. So typically 7.5 right now. The PACE lenders generally price based on whatever the value of the 10-year treasury is, and then they add to that. So it varies up and down depending on what the 10-year treasury is.
So it's an it's not fixed.
No, it is fixed. It is fixed at the time of the loan, but the rate is not predetermined. It's based on the rate at the time of closing. There is a engineering review fee that's involved, and that's all typically rolled into the financing. So for the owner, it's designed to be no out of pocket, that all of any costs associated with securing the loan can be rolled in as those closing costs and like the engineering fee.
What's the average closing cost?
Typically, it's about 2%. Trying to think, 2.5% of the total loan amount. Everything that's involved in that. Well, there's more involved because there is, again, these loans are premised on on savings, and so you've got an engineering review, you've got legal review. It's a real estate financing transaction, so it's a little bit higher probably than just going to a bank and having an origination fee or administrative fees because of the engineering part that goes into it.
And the max term of the loan?
So the maximum term is based on the weighted useful life of the equipment that's being financed. So if it is, lighting typically has a 10 or a 12-year life, HVAC systems, 15, roof, windows, walls, 30, 35. So if you average all of that, then that sets the maximum term. So we see in our whole portfolio of loans that's closed, about 20 years is probably the average. So it can be up to that, but it can be shorter and they can be prepaid, but that sets the outer limit. Yeah. We have some projects that involve, on-site solar that have a 25-year manufacturer's warranty on the panels, and so something like that, can carry a loan term equal to whatever the useful life of the equipment is.
Are there any more questions? Because, okay.
Nancy, as you were talking about the investment that say apartment owners, the rebate they would get, they would be reinvested in the city. But if you look in our city, there's nowhere to buy toilets, there's nowhere to buy hot water heaters, there's nowhere that they can invest it in the city. They would have to go to Waller or Cypress. So that's, how would they reinvest it in the city?
Good question.
Well, I'm thinking that the city will get more taxes from the improved properties. That's generally how, if I'm not mistaken, that's generally how the city recoups.
That encourage you. You can improve all you want to, and if the taxes go up, then it goes up for everybody in that area.
Well, what we see is that when a building permit or a permit of any type is pulled, that triggers a review from the appraisal district on the taxable value of the property. And so, they're going to say, what's going on over there? And it's not the same property anymore because now it's got all new mechanical systems. It's probably valued or it's worth more. Again, from the share of the taxes the city receives, it's would be based on a higher market value of the property because the property's now been improved and modernized.
Also has an impact on the houses around
Okay, so this is something actually, well, I'm not an expert on the city of Prairie View's water system. I used to be an appraiser. And actually the way that it works is that if there is the sale of a property or an improvement of a property, then all similar properties generally have an assignment made on a square foot on a square foot basis of that region. So if an apartment is improved, the house next door is a different type of property. It's a different character.
That's how it's improved. I've seen it when they first built it.
Yeah, then that's an issue.
Property
Yeah,
and out.
yeah. I'm just
That's why I'm saying the situation in Prairie View is so vastly different from maybe the cities that you've worked with in the past. That's why it would be so beneficial to our council members if you all would ask JJ just to do an analysis to see how much the city would lose in revenues by implementing this. Let's say 70% of the businesses and apartment complexes went with this. How much would the city lose, and how would that impact the city's budget going forward?
You also have multi-family housing that qualifies.
5 units or more. 5 units or more multifamily.
5 units or more. Okay, well, we're about running out of time. We have a city hall meeting at 6 o'clock. So,
Just one thing if I could add, and
Go
the
ahead.
research that I did on the internet, so one of the things that I saw is that, so the city of Prairie View's 4B Economic Development Corporation, so a statement there says that partnering with Prairie View A&M and the city of Prairie View proposes to attract and sustain such businesses as banking, educational, research, restaurant, medical, recreation, transportation, housing, and retail. Except for transportation, maybe except for a gas station, all of those are businesses that require structures to be built. All of those new structures that you're trying to attract are going to have energy and water demands, and this is a tool that can be used to future-proof those businesses so that they will consume less, not more, and have less of an impact on the overall infrastructure for the city. So.
all right, well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank everybody for coming to the C-PACE Town Hall meeting that was held today at 5 o'clock. We've almost had an hour of very good instruction and information. And this concludes the C-PACE Town Hall meeting. And if anybody would like to have any more questions, to please text my phone number, or should we text my phone number, and I'll get that information to you. And my phone number is 832-302-8938. Thank you, everybody, for coming to the C-PACE Town Hall meeting, and have a great rest of your day. Good night, everybody. Bye. That concludes the meeting, everybody. Hello, Sharita. Hello? Hello? Okay, all right. Well, what did you think? Did you like it or what? Well, we'll talk later, okay? I'll call you guys back later. Okay, got you. Okay, thank you for attending the C-PACE meeting. All right, okay, talk to you then. All right, okay, bye now. Okay, bye. Thank you, Dub, for coming in. Oh.